Welcome to our virtual meeting. If you lose connection at any point during the meeting, you can reconnect by clicking the link or calling the number in your original email. Members, if you are able, please activate your video and keep it on for the duration of the meeting. Staff, if you are able, please activate your video when you are speaking. All panelists, that is alders, commission members, and staff, have the ability to mute and unmute themselves. Please continue to use the raise hand feature when you'd like to be recognized to speak, ask questions, or request a roll call vote. Lowering your hand will take you out of the queue. Members of the public who have registered to speak. The name you entered in Zoom must match the name you entered in registration. You will remain muted until called upon. The clerk will tell you when your time is up. After speaking, a member of the body may ask you a question. If you need to share documentation with the body, please send it to the email listed on today's agenda. Chair Donnelly, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. All right, this meeting is governed by Robert's Rules of Order. All speakers wishing to address the committee regarding an item must first complete a registration form and submit it to the city clerk designee. That's all covered by the Zoom stuff. Jennifer, do we have any notified absences?
Yes, Ms. Westra will be excused this evening.
Excellent. So I call this meeting of the ALRC to order at 5:37 p.m. And will you please call the roll?
Mr. Cano Espina. Not present. President Carter?
Present.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fletcher?
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Grady?
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Reese?
Here.
Thank you. Alder Skidmore?
Here.
Thank you. Alder Verveer?
Here.
Thank you. And then Ms. Westra is excused. Chair, we have quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very much. First order of business is approval of the minutes from our meeting on February 17th. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
I have a motion from Ms. Reese, second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none. Any in opposition indicate, and we will have a roll call vote. Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Agenda is approved. Ms. Howard, do we have any public comment? Anyone registered for general public comment?
We do not.
Okay, that brings us to disclosures and recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals under the city's ethics code. Are there any such disclosures or recusals? All right, seeing none. Next up is present. Pardon me for a moment. Had a police car going by and that was kind of loud. Okay, next item is presentation of the consent agenda. Ms. Hart, will you please read off the items on the consent agenda quickly? People can ask to have them be removed, and then we'll have a careful, detailed reading of which items have been voted on.
Tonight's proposed consent agenda for the ALRC meeting on March 17th is as follows. Recommendation to council to grant for items number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 for change of agent, and items 12 and 13, public hearing new licenses.
Excellent. Assistant City Attorney Zellaby.
Hi, thank you. Could you please remove items 12 and 13 from the consent agenda?
Of course.
Thank you.
Are there any other items that anyone would like removed? Hearing none, I will now entertain a motion to pass those items remaining on the consent agenda. I see a motion from Mr. Fletcher, and is there a second? Anyone? A second from Mr. Kano Espina. Okay. Any discussion of the consent agenda? Seeing none, anyone in opposition indicate, and we will have a roll call vote. Seeing none. Alder Carter?
I was just going to move a.
I'm sorry, Alder Carter?
Oh, I was just going to move approval.
Oh, okay. So that motion has been made.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. Okay, so it appears there's no discussion. Anyone want a roll call vote? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Okay, so Ms. Har, would you please read off the items which have now been approved? If one of your items is on this list, you have no further business before ALRC tonight and are welcome to, I was going to say go home, but you presumably are already there. Ms. Har?
Recommend to council to grant item number 4, change of agent, Bassett Donson Beverage LLC. Item number 5, change of agent, SP Roberts LLC. Item number 6, change of agent, Circolo LLC. Item number 7, change of agent, HJ Liquors LLC, doing business as University Avenue Liquor. Item number 8, change of agent, HJ Liquors LLC, doing business as City View Liquor. Agenda item number 9, change of agent, Two Pinners LLC. And agenda item number 10, change of agent, Texas Roadhouse Inc.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is item 2, operator license application for Jason Russell. Do we have Jason Russell here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Captain Donahue, will you kick this off, please?
You bet. Good evening, Mr. Russell. As part of your application process, once you provide the information to the clerk's office, there's a background investigation done and a series of guidelines that are looked at based on the information found during the background investigation. And one of the guidelines that was, or I should say one of the guidelines was met that would require your application to come before this body for further review. And so I will read you the guideline, and there may be some questions for you. Provided the circumstances of the offense substantially relate to the circumstances of the job or licensed activity, any person who has been convicted of any felony, unless duly pardoned, does not qualify for an operator's license. Section 12504 of the Wisconsin State Statute. Your background investigation showed that you were convicted of a felony. Granted, for the committee, these charges are quite old. There was a felony conviction in 2001 for manufacturing and delivering THC. A second felony conviction in a different county for the same charge also in 2001. And I will mention there was OWI conviction in 2006, a second OWI conviction in 2008, and an OWI conviction in 2014. So Mr. Russell, I guess I'll start with the question that I have. Just it indicates, to me that there was a history of perhaps AODA issues, and of course a concern of having somebody who's either has issues with AODA or responsible for serving alcohol to other people, if you could just tell me and the committee a little bit about the background and kind of if you've done some things to rectify any of those issues.
It has been a little time. The felony charges were going on 20 years ago. It's just, young and dumb type of stuff. It's been about 7 years since the OWIs. I with that third one, I did an OWI treatment court, which opened my eyes to a lot of things to got to do a lot of counseling. And then I had the bracelet, sobriety bracelet for about a year, interlock in my car for 3 years. So I've kind of went through the whole thing. I'm asking for the liquor license because I got a part-time job, just bought a condo, looking to supplement my income. And that's what brings me here.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. I appreciate the comments, Mr. Chair. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Captain Donahue, Mr. Russell. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Alder Carter.
Hi, Jason.
Hello.
I just have a quick question for you. It looks like you will be, am I right, at Rocky's Liquor on the frontage road?
Yes.
And do you have, there's a variety of people that come through that liquor store, and in the past, they've had issues with people coming in already intoxicated, wanting more liquor. Will you have a issue with refusing them?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yep, that was pretty clear by the owner from day one.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody appears staggering, and different other signs, so
To watch out for those signs.
yes, and then just refuse, tell them to leave.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, since your last one is OWI was in 2014. Can you just tell me, what has made you want to change your life for the better? Other than getting older, because age does that to all of us. We become wiser.
Well, that's it too. A lot wiser now. I don't know. I guess I just had to learn the hard way, I suppose.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't look good, but there hasn't been anything as a speeding ticket since. But I'm just trying to move forward and do better.
Well, I commend you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Do you have further comment? Committee, what is your pleasure? Any questions or motion? Mr. Grady?
I'll make a motion that we issue this license.
Motion to issue the license, a second from Mr. Fletcher. Alder Carter, never mind. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Oh, any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, anyone who would like a roll call vote, please raise your hand. Okay, hear none. Motion passes unanimously for item 2, operator license application for Jason Russell. Next item 3, operator's license application for Ashley Weisman. Do we have Ashley Weisman here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Captain Donahue, will you please take it away.
You bet. Hi, Ashley. I'm not sure if you heard my spiel before, but as part of your background investigation, there is a check of a series of guidelines related to items that are found in your background investigation. There were 2 concerns that came up in your background investigation. It appears as though in your initial application, there was a failure to disclose an OWI that appears as it was part of the same incident as some of the other things that you did disclose. But as part of that, I will read the guideline that was a concern in addition to the missing item. This guideline says, excuse me, provided the circumstance of the offense substantially relate to the circumstances of the job or licensed activity, any person who has been convicted of or has a current charge pending for 1 or more offenses in the last 5 years, which is what we're talking about. And it includes crimes involving cooperation or lack thereof with law enforcement officials, including but not limited to resisting or obstructing a police officer, bribery of a public officer or employee, eluding police, bail jumping, hit and run, perjury, or acts or threats of terrorism. And the charge that was of concern was a resisting or failing to stop. And it appears again that was in conjunction with an OWI in April of 2017. Just wondering if you can briefly explain to the committee kind of the circumstances surrounding that and some of the decisions that were made.
So when I was younger, I did have an addiction to cocaine, which I haven't done since then. I've done a lot of treatment and counseling throughout my life to cope with my anxiety. Yeah, I think that's it. A big thing is like I focused on my counseling and my mental health and doing group activities to help better myself and stay clear-headed.
Are you currently under any kind of state supervision?
Nope.
Were you at one time?
Yes, I was on probation for a year and I completed that.
Okay. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Captain Donahue. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? There don't appear to be any. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Grady,
Here.
we accept this, issue this license.
Say it a little louder, Pat.
I say I'll make a motion that we issue this license.
So we have a motion to approve from Mr. Grady and a second from Alder Skidmore?
Yes.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any discussion of this motion? Hearing none. Anyone who would like to have a roll call vote, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Weisman. Next item 11, entity reorganization for Total Wine, Spirits, Beer, and More, adding 1 officer and removing 1 officer. Do we have anyone here to speak on this item?
Chair, there's no one registered for item 11.
Mr. Fletcher.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to refer to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Motion to refer from Mr. Fletcher, second from Mr. Cano Espina. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any in opposition indicate by raising your hand and we'll have a roll call vote. Seeing
Chair,
none.
interrupt. I'm just a little worried because of the issues with the city network. There is someone in the attendee list that's not listed as registered, but it's possible they have registered and I'm just not seeing it yet.
Let's check with them in case.
Okay.
And from a procedural standpoint, we've got a motion and a second, but we have not concluded the vote yet. So this item is still open.
So, Alicia?
Oh, that's my wife. I'm Brian Hamilton. I'm item number 13. Maybe it's the network is under my wife's name or something like that.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Sorry.
Excellent. Oh, did I raise my hand?
Yes, you did.
I'm so sorry about that. At least I know that I'm now present at this meeting.
Yeah, you're fine. Okay. We were going to have that question in a few minutes. No, we've got it now.
Excellent.
No harm done. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to refer item 11, entity reorg for Total Wines and Spirits, to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting. Is there any discussion or dissent on this item? Seeing none, motion on item 11 carries. The item is referred to next month's ALRC meeting. Next item, item 12, Hellbox Coffee House at 410 D'Onofrio Drive. And I am going to go way out on a limb and guess that Casey Hellbach is the person to talk to us about this.
I'm here.
So can you tell us a bit about the establishment you're proposing to open, please?
Actually, it's been open since 2016, and we had a wine license there for monthly wine events where we bring in wineries. And so it's just a matter of, I can't renew it, so I had to apply again for the new one.
I see. Excellent. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Did we lose? Oh, no, there she is. Sorry, Alder Cutter. Alder Cutter, you're muted.
Can you expound on the fact that you couldn't renew your wine license?
Yeah. We had opened up a place in Middleton, and we had a full liquor license over there in Middleton, so we moved our wine events over there. But obviously the place in Middleton has now been closed, and so we're back at the Madison location, and the renewal time had lapsed.
Okay, thank you. That makes more sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Captain Donahue, does MPD have any concerns about this application?
I am unable to pull up my email to read you verbatim what I got from Captain Patton, but the long and short of it was there were no concerns.
Excellent. Committee, what further questions do you have for the applicant? Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. A quick question for the applicant. So the business plan that was submitted, and I just wanted to check, goes back to kind of 2018 or even before that. So I guess I just wanted to verify that even though there was the move to Middleton and kind of the discussion around that and the closing down of the Middleton store, I just want to be sure that there's no operational changes from that business plan or anything else that the committee should be aware of regarding Hellbach's back at the D'Onofrio location.
No changes. In fact, we're kind of hoping that everybody goes back to 2018 and lives like that again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Committee, what further questions do you have for the applicant? Hearing none, what's your pleasure? Mr. Alder Skidmore.
I'll move approval to grant the license.
A motion from Alder Skidmore and a second from Mr. Cano Espina. Discussion. Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks. This is maybe for the city clerk or yourself, Mr. Chair. Were there any sort of conditions on this license previously at the D'Onofrio location?
I have not looked, but I can take a look and see which of us makes it there first, Jennifer. The Outlook outage doesn't affect Legistar, does it? Cool. Got this exciting green swirly that's been going for a little while. I'd share it, but it would make it take longer. So, you know how those go.
I don't happen to see any on the original or the first license for that location in Madison.
Since it just opened, I will confirm it as well. And this does say grant with conditions.
OD.
So what have we got for the conditions? Let's see. Oh, well, that one's exciting. Oh, also, never mind. This is a completely unrelated item. Your license, Starbucks Cafe, close and grant. Yes, no conditions on the previous license.
Thank you for checking.
Of course. So we have a motion to grant and a second. Alder Verveer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did want to ask the applicant one question that just occurred to me, and that is on your application, you reference beer storage. Do I understand correctly that you have you did renew and you do have a Class B beer license already at this location that's currently valid?
No. No, we don't have a beer. We have no liquor license or beer license or wine license there at all right now. That was just a misprint by me. We're only going to have wine.
Okay, so in question number 8, where you say wine and beer will be stored in rear storage area, do you have no intention of selling beer at this location?
No, just wine.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And then actually, one other question. Do you still have pending legal actions at all with Public Health Madison and Dane County relating to your Middleton former location?
Those are ongoing?
They are ongoing. In Dane County Circuit Court?
We can, if you'd like to give me a call, we can talk about it.
Well, no, I don't think that'll be necessary.
It's not in Dane County Court. It's not in Dane County Court. It never was.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I don't know. I wasn't following it.
Oh.
Obviously, you received a fair amount of media attention in the last year. But I have to admit, I don't know what the current status is. So if you'd rather not speak to it, sir, perhaps, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask one of the 2 assistant city attorneys if the office of the city attorney has any concerns at all with the granting of this license.
I believe Assistant City Attorney Zillivi would be the appropriate one to answer that. Assistant City Attorney Zillivi, can you speak to Alder Revere's question, please?
Sure. Just an FYI, the Middleton case is pending in federal court and is ongoing. And this application standing on its own, I don't see a reason why you could not grant it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, and given for any newer members, Assistant City Attorney Brist is our counsel. Assistant City Attorney Zillivi is the prosecutor who will prosecute alcohol offenses. So if she tells us that there doesn't appear to be anything standing in the way, that's a fairly solid statement in that direction. Dr. Reese.
Just one question, Mr. Hellbeck. Do you plan to follow public safety guidelines, public health orders in this location?
We always have.
Well, I think that's part of your court case. So I'm just wondering if you intend to do that, the same thing at this new location, or if you'll follow the orders.
We have always followed the Dane County guidelines.
So are you saying, yes, you will follow public health orders?
We always have.
Mr. Halbach, I believe Dr. Reese is asking you about your intention to comply with future orders.
Our intention is to comply with future orders.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Dr. Reese?
No, thank you.
Committee, what further questions do you have? Hearing none. What am I looking? Ms. Hart, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Cano Espina.
Aye.
Aye. President Carter.
Aye.
Aye. Vice Chair Fletcher.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Grady.
Aye.
Aye. Dr. Reese.
Aye.
Aye. Alder Skidmore.
Yes.
Aye. Alder Verveer.
Aye.
Aye. 7 ayes, 0 noes, 0 abstains, and 1 excused.
The chair abstains because my vote would neither make nor break.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay, so that motion carries. Item 12 is approved. New license for Halbach's Coffee House. Next item is item 13, new license application for Kettle Black Kitchen, 1835 Monroe Street, Class B beer, Class C wine. And we already know that we've got a speaker here for this. So, Brian Hamilton, can you please tell us about your plans for this establishment?
Yes. I don't know if everybody's aware. I have been running a sort of a meal service business under the same name, Kettle Black Kitchen. You can check out our website now if you like. That was a sole proprietorship. I closed that down and opened an LLC right before I signed the lease at 1835 Monroe Street. So now I intend to continue doing a meal service, which is kind of like a pickup kind of a thing of prepared food, but also have a dining room. And I would like the dining room to have beer and wine. I was thinking originally that I would apply for the full Monty with the liquor, but on the advice of, the alder and my landlord and the people in the community, they all said it would probably be better just to test the waters with the beer and wine. And I'm fine with that because I think that I'll prove to be a valuable and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm just planning on being a part of the fabric of the neighborhood, so I don't think anybody will have a problem in the future when I apply for my full liquor license. I hope.
Have you held an alcohol license before in the city of Madison?
I've been the agent on liquor licenses, but never for my own business. But the last time I did, it was in Middleton, not in Madison. It was for 1847 at the Stam House when they first reopened back in 20, I think by now.
Gotcha. I was just wondering because your familiarity with the concept of moving in, making friends with the neighborhood, showing everyone that everything's fine, and then increasing the scope of your license is something we don't generally see from rookies.
Well, I've been in the business for a long time, but I'm also a neighborhood guy. I don't want to make my neighbors angry. And if they're a little nervous about the full liquor license, I am totally fine just going with the beer and wine. I'm not looking, just to prove to everybody, I'm not looking to open up a nightclub. I'm hoping that we stay open until the kitchen's open until 11 on Fridays and the dining room's open until midnight, right? So that's about as late as it's going to go. I'm approaching 50 years old. I'm done with the the Jameson shots and things like that.
Excellent. Alder Carter.
The Jameson shot should live forever, but that's not my question.
Right.
my question is, what? I know you're on Monroe Street. What storefront are you at? What was it before?
So directly before me, it was called June, spelled Joon.
Okay.
And before that, it was, I think, a failed sort of chain called Burgerito. I'm so sorry about my dogs. They're liable to just start barking at me.
That's okay. I just couldn't figure out where it was.
Yeah. The place that kind of made this place famous was literally because they made their neighbors angry. The first place that made it a restaurant decided to put their smoker out in the alley behind.
I hate to tell you, but I ate there. But anyway, don't hold that against me. The barbecue was good, though. So let me just get this straight. It's still going to be pick up, dine in, and those are the two things that is going to be happening there.
Well, yeah. I mean, think of the dining room is just going to be a regular restaurant, but I will still be doing probably 2 days a week, I think. People will be able to pick up either frozen meals or meals ready to eat or meals that they would cook themselves at home.
Oh, okay.
That's how, if you go to my website, you can check it out. I don't know how to describe it otherwise, but I basically am, taking a template that's done by a bunch of national companies already. And I started doing that when the coronavirus hit because everywhere I worked closed. So I had to start selling my own food.
Well, yeah, isn't that the truth? Well, thank you very much and good luck. And we don't mind hearing barking dogs. Mine just barked at Kennedy portrait that I inherited. So that goes in the closet. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you kindly.
All right. Thank you, Alder Carter. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Seeing no, Mr. Fletcher.
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair, but I'd move approval.
We have a motion to approve, second from Mr. Cano Espina. Any discussion of the motion? Mr. Fletcher.
Yeah, just I'll ask the same question on this application. Were there any conditions at this location? I remember our conversations about this location previously, but I don't recall if any conditions were set.
So I anticipated this question, unlike the last one. In its most recent incarnation, there were no conditions. But when it was the ill-fated Burgritos, the conditions were 1, no sale of alcohol after 11 p.m. 2, must meet the definition of a restaurant as defined by Yes, Yes, Yes. And food must be available at all times alcohol is available.
Thank you.
And I'll note that that was also a Class B beer license. Any discussion of Mr. Fletcher's motion to grant? Seeing none. Anyone may raise their hand to request a roll call vote. Seeing none of that, motion carries unanimously. The license is approved. Next item, item 14, report of Madison Police Department, summary of recent calls for service. Captain Donahue, do you have anything to which you'd like to call our attention?
Nothing notable.
Excellent, thank you. Committee, do you have any questions for Captain Donahue? Alder Carter.
I do have a couple questions for you because one of the things that I've noticed is that some of the same locations keep coming up. Is that something we should be concerned with? Like the Howard Johnsons, the comfort, and on, that every month there's multiple calls.
Most of those calls, because all of the calls for service at that address show, most of those calls are completely unrelated to any kind of issues related to a license or liquor issues for that matter. The others that often come up are the retail establishments where there's a large number of retail thefts. So usually when I get that list, I'll peruse those calls and take a look to see what is alcohol related or related to a liquor license. Many of those hotels, it's disturbances or completely unrelated to the sale of alcohol.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate you picking up on that.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Captain Donahue, I have a question along the same lines. Has there been any progress toward the eventual, I'm not going to say goal because last I knew there wasn't a plan, but the aspiration to be able to capture when there was a call for service, whether it was inside the address or at and around that address outside?
Other than my, what the folks I supervise might call constant reminders to make sure that we're trying to collect good data. It really comes down to making sure that the address of occurrence is properly reflected either when the call is received by dispatch or officers changing that address after they realize that it happened elsewhere. So until we can take out the human element of that, I think there will always be some discrepancy, or until maybe someone else would have to go through those calls for service themselves and better appreciate the task that it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
For those who are unfamiliar, one of the things that makes data about particularly downtown locations less valuable than it might otherwise be is if there's a disturbance, it has to be listed at an address. But that could just mean that it's something happening outside of the bar that didn't start in or in any way involve that establishment. Dr. Reese.
Just a quick comment in response to people having to go through the list and understand it. I did a study on music genre and violence with UW a few years ago, looking at 8 years of calls for service for all licensed establishments in the city of Madison. So, yeah.
It might be something that I could maybe task folks with each month to go back and look so that it's more, the issue is more real and understandable. The balance is they've got so many things going on when they're responding to these calls for service that sometimes that one takes a lower priority than a lot of the other things they have going on. But I continue to ask for folks to be mindful of that, and the supervisors, at least in the downtown, I can speak for, which is a majority of the calls in a normal year. We will continue to work on that and try to improve our data.
Thank you, Captain Donahue. Any further questions for Captain Donahue? All right, hearing none, moving on to item 15, report of the city clerk's office, summary of licenses issued. Ms. Hart, do you have anything to which you would like to call our attention?
Thank you. No, not at this time. I double checked prior to the meeting with Deputy Clerk Verbeek, and there was nothing notable to advise the committee about.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Committee, do you have any questions for our representative from the clerk's office? Okay, hearing none, moving on to the final item of the agenda, adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mr. Fletcher, second from Mr. Cano-Espina. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed have the same privilege. Motion carries. This meeting of ALRC is adjourned at 6:20 p.m.